First Alert Weather means alerting you to what's next and keeping you safe.
We appreciate everyone staying off the roads.
During Colorado winters, you need to be ready for anything.
I was upside down. I was just completely frozen in place.
From surviving avalanches to knowing how to drive in the snow.
In the winter, you really want something that's going to give you good adhesion to the road surface, wet conditions and snow.
And staying warm while lowering your winter heating bill.
Can you turn down the thermostat during winter months? Can you open the windows to get some of that solar gain?
We're sharing how to navigate and enjoy Colorado winters.
Welcome to our First Alert Winter Weather Special, where we're preparing you for what's ahead this season.
This half hour, we're going to map out the long-range winter forecast
and share how the National Weather Service is streamlining winter warnings.
Plus, I'll show you why predicting Colorado snowstorms is such a complicated process.
First, we begin with a snowmobiler who survived being buried alive. She and her group watched the forecast, knew the danger, and planned ahead with all their avalanche gear. It was that preparation that saved Cassie Gates' life.
I was upside down. I couldn't move my arms. I couldn't move my head at all. I was just completely frozen in place.
Before Cassie Gates knew what was happening, she said an avalanche in Grand Mesa had buried her. Cassie panicked, but believed in the team she had been snowmobiling with all day.
One of the first things I thought about was our beacon checks and our equipment checks in the morning. I knew everyone was prepared. I knew everyone's gear was working right, including my own, which was comforting. And I knew that I had at least 2 people from our group who had seen the incident happen because they were right behind me.
The avalanche happened last February, and according to the Colorado Avalanche Information Center, it happened on a steep slope to the southeast of Priest Mountain. The strength of the snowpack in the area was weak. With a series of storms sandwiched in between dry and mild weather, there was a high danger for avalanches that day. Cassie's group's goal? To stay off anything steep.
Misjudged the slope of a hill, and it was a small hill too. It wasn't like a big mountain face or anything, something pretty seemingly innocent. And I went to go up that hill and the whole thing just popped on me. And before I even knew what was happening, I was buried.
Cassie was buried right there.
Her friend and her fiance saw what happened. They immediately radioed the rest of the group and got to work trying to find Cassie.
I could hear the radio chatter because I had my radio hooked up right here and it had fallen off and it got pinned to my ear so I could hear my friends calling out.
Within minutes, they found her and began digging her out.
It was a small avalanche, but small avalanches can still kill people. And that group did a great job of getting her back on top of the snow and where she could breathe again. It's a very close call. Anytime somebody's head goes under the snow and their airway is compromised, it's a very serious situation.
Cassie was safe. Her sled recovered from the snow.
I'm so happy that I was with people who were well prepared. And I think it's just driving home that idea that avalanche safety is so critical.
Buried in an instant, saved in just minutes because of the training, preparation, and a group that knew the danger they may come face to face with that February day. Cassie said this won't deter her from snowmobiling again. She'll do more training, and she encourages everyone who spends even a little time in the backcountry to do the same, because you just never know. And according to Ethan of the CAIC, slab avalanches are the most dangerous. We get these weak slabs when there's that early season snow on steep mountain slopes. When strong winds combine with snowstorms and big swings in temperature, avalanche danger rises. The best winters, as far as few avalanches, are when we see snow around Thanksgiving and it continues to snow consistently. And new this season to our 24-hour streaming channel, you can get the Weekend Ahead's avalanche forecast every Thursday. Click the CBS News app or find us on Pluto TV. Last winter, we saw these cycles of snowstorms to wind events to warm and dry periods. But Dave, I know we look to the long-range forecast for a lot of guidance on what we can expect going into the season.
Yeah, we really do, and that's why the long-range forecast is so important. One of the big things we look at is what El Nino and La Nina are doing. And it all has to do with the water off the coast of South America.
When winter hits in Colorado, we all have to plan for the next snowstorm. And while there are many variables that can determine how much snow you will have to shovel, one of the biggest happens thousands of miles away.
We're talking about El Nino and La Nina. In the 1600s, South American fishermen noticed periods of unusually warm water off the coast of South America in the Pacific Ocean. That warm water peaked right around Christmas time. They called it El Nino, the little boy.
This happens when trade winds along the equator weaken and allow warm water to push east toward the coast of South America. This pushes the Arctic and tropical jet streams northward, allowing for warmer overall temperatures in the northern Rockies and more moisture to push up in the southern half of the U.S. This setup can help upslope systems to occasionally pull up a lot more moisture from southern areas of the nation. Statistically, northeast Colorado can receive higher precipitation in the winter season during an El Nino-charged storm that hits over the eastern parts of the state. This happened in March of 2003 when the Front Range was slammed with a 3-day snowstorm that buried parts of Colorado with 1 to 3 feet of snow. Denver officially had 31.8 inches, the second largest snowstorm in Denver's history. For the high country, this means on average, more snow may fall in the southern mountains than the northern mountain spots in the El Nino. With overall warmer temperatures, snowstorms may be heavier with more water content. This winter season is forecast to be a weak La Nina year. La Nina means little girl in Spanish. It is the opposite of El Nino in that water is cooling off the coast of South America. Stronger trade winds cool sea surface temperatures, and as a result, this pushes the storm track in the northern hemisphere further north. So on average, northern Colorado tends to receive more precipitation in the La Nina years than in southern and central parts of the state. This scenario happened on March 13th through the 14th of 2021, when Denver was blasted with 27.1 inches of snow, making it the Mile High City's 4th largest snowstorm on record.
And we are expecting a weak La Nina year this winter. So if we take a look at the temperature profile for the next 90 days, December, January, February, the new outlook has the Front Range in most of northern Colorado with equal chances of being warmer or colder. So if the temperature regime is a normal year, that's pretty good for snow production as far as winter goes in Colorado. The other thing we look at is the 90-day precipitation outlook. It's going to be dry down to the southern part of the state, but look at northern Colorado. Equal chances of drier or wetter. So if we have a normal precipitation year this year, it looks like the weak La Nina should deliver quite a bit of snow in the northern part of Colorado. No matter what type of winter weather we see this season, there's some changes with the watches and warnings.
That's right, Dave. The main reason for the change is the National Weather Service wants to better communicate. So starting this year, weather alerts used to express the danger of cold, they're going to be simplified. What was once wind chill alert will now be replaced with different ways to describe dangerous cold conditions. Cold weather that could pose serious risk can now trigger 3 possible alerts: a cold weather advisory, a cold weather watch, or an extreme cold warning. The new alerts allow the National Weather Service to communicate that cold is dangerous with or without wind. The criteria for the cold alerts varies based on location, so the threshold for extreme cold warning is -35 for the high country and -25 for the plains. The National Weather Service says extreme cold like this is serious because it can quickly cause frostbite and hypothermia. Extreme cold watches will be issued when either dangerously cold temperatures or wind chills are possible in an area, and warnings are then posted when those conditions are expected or occurring, which means you should dress in layers and cover exposed skin.
Colorado is home to some of the wildest weather across the United States. I mean, after all, the old saying goes, the weather, it starts east of the Rockies. But I had a question. What about in the Rockies? And we know geography can have a direct impact on hyper-local weather. So I've plotted some of the coldest locations: Alamosa, Gunnison, Antero Reservoir, all the way up to Walden. And these are all referred to an icebox. And why do we say that? Well, they all have something in common. I'm going to jump into Walden here because this is our coldest location. You see, it's a valley surrounded by significant significantly larger peaks. And this is really the reason it's so cold. It results in something called cold air drainage. Cold air is more dense and it cools from the mountaintops, and it quite literally is forced to sink down into the bed of the valley and collect there. Now, the reason it doesn't mix out from the wind is because these larger peaks can essentially serve as a barrier, blocking much, if any, wind from mixing the air out. So an easier, simpler way to think about this is a lake filling with water, where the wind forces the water to just stay sunken close to the ground. And when all is said and done, that makes Walden our official coldest spot across the state, with an average temperature year-round of 35.3 degrees.
As days get shorter and the temperatures get cooler, it's tempting to crank up the heat. However, this can lead to larger than expected energy bills. That's why we're helping you stay warm without burning cash. To keep pipes in your home from freezing through frigid temperatures, Denver Water suggests setting your thermostat to 65 degrees. We talked to Energy Outreach Colorado, a statewide organization that helps people pay their electric bills. It says to save money, open the shades to let the sun's heat inside, and unplug appliances when you're also not using them. The group also offers a home energy audit to identify any needed upgrades like insulation. More ways to hang onto your dollars this winter are to get your furnace running efficiently ahead of the colder months. Seal windows and doors for any leaks and turn the thermostat down. Every 1% you turn it down, you'll save 1% on your bill. That's according to a federal policy group. If you need help paying your electric and gas bills this winter, head to cbscolorado.com, where you can find out how to register for help.
Coming up, we explore Winter Park's new state-of-the-art snowmaking system, and we show you a Colorado man's invention to help clear snow faster than ever before.
Welcome back. After 2 years of construction, Winter Park has finally finished a major upgrade, which will help get the snowpack where it needs to be at the start of winter. Your reporter in the mountains, Spencer Wilson, talked to the resort about their new tools and how they're speeding up the winterization process for skiers and riders, hopefully moving up ski season for years to come.
The upgrades here at Winter Park isn't necessarily the blower itself. It's actually the water going to the blower, 2.5 times the amount of water going to all these different snow blowers, adding to a lot more coverage faster.
So how do you change how much water you can push out? You find a way to store more water. And Winter Park did just that, with a new retention pond that's connecting streams along the way.
And to concentrate it into a new snowmaking pond that we have constructed that holds over 13 million gallons.
That pumps up the numbers for how much of this can come out per minute.
So that we are increasing pumping capacity from 2,500 gallons per minute to over 6,000 gallons a minute, 2.5 times the volume of water moving this year.
And trust the guy who ran through it. It's dropping a lot of moisture fast.
So you get to run more water and cover more area at the same time, but there's also benefits not only to Denver Water and the customers on the Front Range, but also from a fire suppression standpoint.
So in the event something horrible happens and firefighters have to get water up on the mountain, they have somewhere for helicopters to pull from and get things under control instead of waiting on tanker trucks or airdrops. So beside the solid snowpack base, what else will you notice?
You'll see some of the hydrants where the piping comes up out of the ground that we then connect our snowmaking hose to, but other than that, it's all buried.
But the biggest thing you might notice, this could change the time frame we can ski at the resort too, both at the start of the season and at the end.
It not only gets us open early, but it gives us that really stable and fundamentally stronger snow structure so that we can extend our season later in the year.
One of the tools meteorologists use to determine just how fluffy or wet snow is the snow to liquid ratio. That means how many inches of snow does it take to get 1 inch of liquid. If the snow to liquid ratio is higher, like 20-1, then the snow is very fluffy and dry. If the snow to liquid ratio is lower, say 5-1, then the snow is very wet and heavy. That's typically what we see with springtime snowstorms. Now, there are a lot of things that go into it, but the biggest factor is simply temperatures. With temperatures temperatures hovering just about freezing. 1 inch of liquid precipitation is about 5 inches of wet, heavy snow. An average snow ratio is about 10 to 1. When the temperatures are colder, the air can hold less moisture, so that leads to a light, fluffier snow. And those ratios can go through the roof. For example, if the temperature is about 18 degrees, then the snow can pile up really quickly for a 20 to 1 ratio. So when we say light and fluffy, we really mean it. Now, there's a huge difference between how much these snow totals can weigh. A snowfall at 10 to 1 will weigh about 10 pounds per cubic foot. But if the ratio is about half that, well, then the snow could weigh twice as much per cubic foot. So that's that really back-breaking, sticky, slushy stuff. Snow ratios are part of why forecasting for snow can be so challenging.
Anyone who spends a hefty amount of time shoveling snow knows how cumbersome it can be.
Yeah, we sure do. Now, one Colorado company, they're making it easier on your body with the help of shovel wax. So we did talk to the business owner who created his own shovel wax, and he did this after the grueling efforts of shoveling over in Clark, that's north of Steamboat Springs, and the conditions were only made worse by the snow that would stick to his shovel each time he went to lift it up.
What happened last winter, we had the deepest winter in recorded history up here. More snow than I've ever seen in my entire life. I threw my back out about 3 times, hucking snow over the 10 feet of snowpack. It's the all-natural solution to snow stick and to snow shovels.
Now, the business tells us it's proud that it isn't harmful to dogs and doesn't contain forever chemicals like many products on the market do. For those who have trouble shoveling snow on their own, cities and counties across the metro area, well, they're there to help you out. Like the Aurora Snowbusters program, for example, and it runs fully on volunteers.
Yeah, anyone in need of financial assistance or unable to shovel themselves will be paired up with a volunteer for the entire season, from fall to spring, to shovel snow within 24 hours of it falling. In addition to Aurora's Snowbusters program, Arvada has the Snow Buddies program. Volunteers of America helps older adults across the Front Range. Lafayette, Broomfield, Inglewood, and Denver all have similar programs. We have a list of all the details on how to volunteer or get help on our website, cbscolorado.com.
Up next, how to choose the best tire for severe winter weather and driving on black ice. Tips for avoiding a hidden danger on the roads.
Welcome back. I'm meteorologist Callie Zanandri. Black ice is a thin layer of ice on pavement. It's called black ice versus plain old ice because of just how thin it is. Black ice is typically so thin that blacktop or pavement can be seen through it. The transparency of the ice is what makes it so difficult to see, especially at night. The road may just look wet when in reality the frozen glaze will result in slippery conditions. You want to be especially cautious on bridges and overpasses when temperatures are forecast to drop near or below freezing. During the winter season, bridges and overpasses are often more dangerous to drive on compared to regular roads. In November 2022, we saw a result of a surprisingly slick overpass with a 100-car pileup on 6th Avenue and Calumet Street. While it wasn't a particularly snowy day, the overpass conditions were icy. Here's why that happens. The entire bridge structure or overpass is exposed to the elements. You've got cold air above and below that freezes over much more quickly. Water on regular roads takes longer to freeze because it's only experiencing cold air from above. Plus, the soil temperature, if warm enough, can slow down the decrease in temperature or even stop it. So the road won't be able to freeze as fast as bridge or the overpass. During the winter, you also need to be aware that road conditions will change quickly. There are a few things you can do to make sure you stay safe on the road. Plan for extra travel time and more stopping distance between yourself and the vehicle in front of you, especially when driving conditions that affect stopping distance, such as snow and ice. And don't forget to slow down. If you lose traction, take your foot off the brake and the accelerator and turn the wheel in the direction you want the car to go.
With more snow and cold weather on the way, it's all the more important for drivers to have the safest tires on their cars. Meaning Colorado's chain law isn't just for large semi-trucks crisscrossing the interstate. From September to May, Colorado State Patrol requires a set of standards for tires, including that four-wheel and all-wheel drive cars must have all wheels engaged and tires with adequate tread depth. Two-wheel drive cars need all-weather or mud and snow-rated tires with tolerable tread or the ability to attach chains. A tow truck driver company owner who works about 5,000 incidents each year tells us many accidents happen during storms because of shoddy tires.
We're helping people that have all-season tires, they have summer tires. I'm making sure that my tires usually, whenever I run them, are 1/4 of an inch or better. The siping is these little cuts in the tire that allow, as the tire touches the ground, to expand and allow those treads to actually penetrate into the snow and ice.
Experts say the kind of tire you use and should purchase depends on how often and where you drive. If you're going up in the mountains a lot or live in the high country, definitely get snow tires because they deliver better grip to start in snow and stop on icy surfaces. If mountain travel during severe weather is not part of your lifestyle, all-season tires work for convenience and value. Imagine being stranded on a road during a snowstorm. Will you have what you need to survive until emergency responders get to you? First Alert traffic reporter Brian Sherrod gets you prepared for winter driving.
Now, the biggest thing you want in your car is a survival kit. Some of the biggest things to have are your windshield wiper fluids and your scrapers. You want to make sure you have these so it doesn't impact your visibility when you are on the road, or if you're stranded, you want to see what's in front of you. Make sure you have your jumper cables because maybe the other car doesn't have these, and it's a good way for you to get your car to start when you have two different vehicles. Another important thing, your charger, to make sure your phone is always charged at all times so you can call just in case of an emergency. Also, you want to make sure you have your coats and your blankets because you don't know how long you're going to be stranded, and you want to make sure you're staying warm. And the same thing with being stranded, snacks. So just in case you are stuck for a few hours, at least you won't go hungry in your car.
Ever wonder why some parts of our state get more snow than others? When we come back, First Alert meteorologist Joe Rugg shows us how shifts in the wind direction can make a big difference in snow totals and whether or not snow even falls in the first place. Welcome back, everybody. You know, Joe, one of the cool things here at CBS News Colorado is our new virtual reality set where we could take everybody right into the weather map here. In fact, you take a look right in front of us, we've got Denver, and then you're already standing up in the foothills up there. We could take you to any elevation here in Colorado, and that is really an impact player in our weather. Depending upon where you live and what direction the wind is going, you could have a foot of snow or maybe just a couple of inches.
Oh yeah, we know the topography, the elevation. It is a driving factor in our weather, so much so that wind direction, Dave, that's also a very important role. So we're forecasting a winter storm, let's say, and you hear us say a westerly component of the wind. Well, what's that mean? The western slope of the Front Range Mountains, the air is forced to rise up and over, and as it does, all the moisture gets wrung out, leaving us with dry, downsloping air for the Front Range. So this would result in a big snowstorm for portions of the mountains, but not quite a snowmaker that we'd see for the Front Range. But we've all heard the big upslope storm. That needs an easterly component of the wind. It's a slow elevation gain for the plains with a much more rapid gain as you head towards the foothills. And this results in some pretty hefty snow totals at times across the Front Range, with even heavier totals for our friends in the foothills. So you already can tell wind direction is key, but there's also some local features that drive the weather. You take a step to my left here, the Cheyenne Ridge. It's a 1,000 to 2,000 gradual gain in elevation here, right near our northern border. And that's not the only really factor that we watch. You see Denver here? Well, let's go a bit south. The Palmer Divide is between Denver and Colorado Springs. This is a 2,000-foot elevation gain right below my feet right now, and it has a big impact on our weather, as you can imagine. So you jump over here. Let me show you the Cheyenne Ridge, for example. Wind direction is key. That's our takeaway from all of this. Let's say you have a northerly component of the wind. That can be northeasterly, due north, or northwesterly. Well, as the air travels up and over the Cheyenne Ridge on the Wyoming border, we're stuck with the sinking air for your neighborhoods, such as Fort Collins, Boulder, Brighton, all the way up 76 towards the Fort Morgan area. Dry air would win. Wyoming, they'd be the big winners for a snowstorm. But you can simply flip the wind direction. We have the same geographic feature here to a southeasterly component, a southerly component of the wind. That makes the big winners our same neighborhoods, Fort Collins, Boulder, Brighton, all the way up towards Fort Morgan. with areas along the peak and north in Wyoming actually dealing with the dry air largely missing out on the snow. So you take the same thought process. Where the air rises is where you see more snow. Same holds true for the Palmer Divide here. Again, this is south of Denver. This impacts Castle Rock's weather pretty closely. A northerly component of the wind would favor more snow for Castle Rock, but really greatest totals will be along the northern portion of the Palmer Divide. So a northerly wind. Our friends in southern Colorado, you're likely missing out on the snow almost entirely in many locations. Now let's flip the script again and bring you a wind from the south, because that will be key in driving our big snow totals for Colorado Springs, El Paso County, even areas as far south as Pueblo County would likely benefit to an extent. Now the dry air, the sinking air, would be on the northern side of the Palmer Divide here. So the metro area and just about all the Front Range would likely miss out on big snow totals from a southerly wind. So next time you're watching us deliver the forecast, pay close attention to the wind direction, because it plays a big role in forecasting winter storms across the Front Range.
Our First Alert Weather Days alert you to how winter weather may impact your plans. One of the best ways to stay prepared as weather approaches is to know that it's coming.
A free and easy option is the CBS News app, where you'll receive all the important weather notifications right in the palm of your hand.
And don't forget, we bring you weather updates every 10 minutes, only on our streaming channel.
The First Alert Weather team wishes you a safe winter weather season.
Thanks for joining us for our First Alert Winter Weather Special.